Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be reacting to Love is Blind, the reunion. And was this reunion giving? Because I felt like we had a few moments, a couple of moments. I felt like this is the best Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey has done in a reunion. I felt like at least they put in a good effort to really get some answers that needed to be answered. So first thing first, I would have to say we have to give it up that we only have one married couple from Love is Blind this season 5, which is Lydia and Milton. They have now been married for a year and a half. Man, time goes by fast, and it goes to show you that this was like old news for them. So for them to come and show up today as a happy, loving couple, I root for them. I root for Lydia's happiness. I root for Milton's happiness because they look good together. Ultimately, I just love the passion that they have for one another and how they're quick to resolve issues ASAP. They don't linger on it. They handle and address it, and it's done. That is why I think this couple will go the distance for sure. Now, moving on, we have Stacy and Izzy. Now, when I first saw them, they looked quite happy to be sitting next to each other. They didn't need to be separated because when they're separated, there's some tension, some beef. But I felt like the way they were sitting next to each other, they looked nothing but happy. And I'm like, are they together? Are we gonna find out that they're dating? I was so curious to figure out what's going on. I was being nosy. I want to know what's going on. I felt like Stacy looked really good. She was wearing this red dress, showing off her body. So I'm like, I know she is serving. She is serving, and she did her makeup correctly this time. So I like the looks that Stacy was giving. And Izzy had his moments of some wardrobe malfunction on this reunion, but nonetheless, Izzy was being Izzy. So we get some update from the couples. Okay, so we learn that Milton's family love Lydia. So they love Lydia so much that even Milton's a little bit slightly jealous. And I thought, wow, what a turnaround, because initially, Milton's mom and sister was not a fan of Lydia. But apparently Lydia brings out the best sides of this family. This family was considered very, stiff-ish, but now they're more emotional. So I love that for Milton, especially for the fact that, that was one of his critiques of Lydia, that, oh, she's too emotional. But for her emotions to rub off to his family, to now it be a positive experience that he now has with them, I thought, okay, Lydia, you did what you were supposed to do. You won. You won the damn thing. So I was happy to hear that, Lydia is getting along with the family and she fits in and she is accepted, because that's ultimately the goal. So, of course, we had some questions for Miss Lydia. She had to address her situations with UCHE and her situations with Aaliyah. So, of course, Milton had Lydia's back and support to really be a comfort for Lydia. And we got to see so much maturity, which gagged everybody, especially Izzy, of the maturity coming from Milton. And I'm like so happy for Lydia to have such support coming from Milton. Now, of course, Lydia, she gives us politically correct responses. I swear to you that she is game ready. So she gave us correct answers to how she wants to address UCHE. She makes it very clear that, she did not know that UCHE was going to be on the show, and that there's nothing left, no feelings there left for UCHE, which is one of the reasons why producers allow her to stay on the show. Because if there was still lingering feelings, the producers thought that this would compromise the experiment. So she made it very clear that, UCHE is of the past and that she's only focused on her situation with Milton. Now, she does address how she went wrong with Aaliyah. She do feel like she did, cross some boundaries, and, she had love for Aaliyah. She cares for Aaliyah. But the way she went about it, it was not the best way, and she even says explicitly that she should have read the room to how she was handling that situation. And I felt like, wow, this is very reflective. And she is good with her words, so she is convincing. Now, when it was her moment to talk to Aaliyah, Aaliyah, you know, she has her feelings, her perspective, which of course she should be allowed to have. But, you know, Lydia addressed those things with her, and it seems like they're added truths. You know, Aaliyah does not like Lydia, and Lydia does not like Aaliyah. Now, will these two be best friends? No. No, 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 not in this universe, not in this time period, and that is okay. It's just, you know, it's unfortunate that Aaliyah was unable to continue with this process, given that, you know, UCHE had some strings still attached. Because remember, UCHE was very invested into Milton's relationship with Aaliyah, which kind of leads us to believe that maybe the feelings were still there, very residual, but it was very much interfering with another's couple's progress. But I like that we had an analogy where it was compared that Milton too could have been compromised in this relationship, in this process, but wasn't, because he was able to work with his partner. He had a good partner to work and move forward with, because of course UCHE was in Milton's head. You know, Lydia had to respond to some things, but you know, Milton based this whole process on his connection with Lydia and Lydia alone. So therefore his experience was challenging, but given that he had a good partner to move forward with, that's why he was successful in this experience. Now, reflecting back to Aaliyah and her situation, I do not think her and UCHE are a match, and they would not have been able to move forward into this. In this situation, in the conversation with Lydia and Aaliyah, Aaliyah reveals that ultimately she do not think that UCHE was attracted to Aaliyah, to her. Reason that is that there was word going around in the pods about UCHE's type, and Aaliyah feels like she does not fit that type. So there are several reasons outside of Lydia to why UCHE was not a match for Aaliyah. So ultimately, I felt like, you know, at the end, she was able to recover and move on from this and not be so invested into the situation. But we did learn that she did date UCHE quite a bit before breaking things off ultimately. So I'm so happy, and we're pleased to report that Aaliyah, she is in a new relationship with someone who's her match, who she's met on a cruise, on a solo cruise. So I'm happy for her and I'm rooting for her, because ultimately I feel like dodging UCHE was a godsend. That was a godsend. Now moving on to Stacy and Izzy. I felt like there was like so much drama, and for what? You guys are not even together. So what we learned is that, you know, after the whole wedding ceremony, they stopped talking to each other for a few days, and Izzy could not handle, he could not manage. She was going through a panic, and they had a talk, and it was not good. And they stopped talking for at least a year. Now, they did run into each other again, not by choice, because Houston is so small. When Izzy was out on a date and Stacy was out on a date, and they were both pretty much doing cooking together in a class, and it was so awkward for them. And I was thinking, wow, that's so crazy, what a small world. But ultimately, you know, Izzy, he still has feelings for Stacy, and Stacy still cares about Izzy, but it's just not at that level. I think they view each other more as friends than as lovers. I mean, they went through such a big experiment, a big experience together. So they're tied in that way. But I was shocked to learn that Izzy actually tried to date Johnny after the experiment, and I'm like, sir, did you not catch the red flags? Johnny's a red flag. So they dated and they kissed, and they learned, okay, they're not a match. And I'm like, sir, I could have told you that before you did all that, but I guess he kind of had to see it through, see if, you know, the feelings would pick up again and they could move forward, but they weren't. But that transitioned us off to Johnny. Johnny, she made her return. And I felt like, okay, Johnny, something about Johnny gives me like a pristine doll. Like, she's very doll-like, you know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it's an interesting type of beauty. Now, what we learn is that her and Chris are no longer an item, and that she had to learn this the hard way. It ends up that Chris actually ghosted Johnny. So what happened was is that Johnny had her birthday and she wanted to celebrate, of course, with Chris. But unfortunately, around the same time, Chris had a wedding to attend to. So he went to the wedding, and Johnny went to her birthday. So ultimately, when Chris went to the wedding, he never came back to ever see Johnny ever again. And what Johnny learns is that Chris ends up meeting someone and getting to a relationship with that person and actually living with that person. So this was kind of awkward and hard for Johnny because there was no communication that this relationship was done and over with, which I think was wrong and dirty, even though, Chris didn't want to hurt Johnny's feelings. At the end, he still ended up hurting her feelings. He should have just communicated that to her and owned up to what he did rather than just ghosting her. And he does apologize to Johnny for that. And it seems like, okay, they are good, but I kind of see like Johnny may still have feelings for Chris. Now, of course, this would not have been a reunion if they did not address the barbecue situation with Johnny and Chris versus Stacy and Izzy. Now, they both have conflicting details to what went down in this situation. Johnny, she believes that Stacy was trying to attack her, and that Izzy was attacking her too as well, coming for her relationship. And Stacy feels like, oh no, she just walked in a conversation between Izzy and Chris, in which Izzy was just trying to talk and give like some warning to Chris, but that had nothing to do with her. So apparently they rolled the tapes to run it back, and honestly, it's dramatic for what? For no reason. And I just think that at the end, Stacy didn't mind throwing some sand in Johnny's eyes a little bit. And Izzy had to apologize too, because Izzy was a bit harsh to Johnny. So he does apologize to Johnny. And Stacy, she does not apologize, and she does not plan to apologize. And I just thought that it was so hilarious how we kind of like put it into this situation, but not really. Obviously, Johnny will never like Stacy, and I feel like she is happy that she at least got to have some kind of emotional situation with Izzy. And Izzy was very open with Johnny, so I feel like that's a one up on Stacy. Okay, so that is done and over with, and of course we have to get to our remaining couple that did not make it down the aisle, and that is JP and Taylor. Now, I forgot to add, UCHE did not make it to this reunion because he did not want to. But ultimately, I'm happy he didn't, because I didn't want to suffer from that anymore. This was too much trauma. So anywho, back to JP and Taylor. So Taylor, she looked too good. She looked the best out of all the ladies at the reunion. Okay, she was the best dressed, best makeup. I live for her look. She was giving me Golden Globes award. Okay, she showed out, and I'm happy she did, because JP made her feel a little bit funny that she wore makeup. Like, her reveal on reveal day was not it for him, so she showed up and showed out. I could tell, and I saw it. So JP, he shows up, of course, in his red, white, and blue, of course, like he always do. And he doesn't say much of anything. And I felt like, sir, why did you show up if you don't got much to say about anything? I'm pretty sure you could have planned and have a little bit of a talking points for us today, but he doesn't. He gave us basic response. He is sticking to the situation that he just does not like the makeup, and that the reveal was a little bit too much makeup for him, and that ultimately he wished he could have worked things out better, but not really. He's okay with how everything went down. Now, of course, Taylor, she had much to say, much to, wanting to address. And she hopes that JP learned from this experience and not treat women this way, that, to say those things to a woman is not in good taste. I was shocked to learn that JP is in a new relationship with somebody for now over a year. And I'm like, who is talking to this wall? Who is talking to this wall? Because this man does not give anything. Like, how are you supposed to have a conversation with this man? But of course, you know, Taylor, she responds back, you know, she's seeing somebody too as well. She's just saying it's not a relationship, she's just saying. And you know, I'm rooting for her because I felt like this experience was not it for her. They just went to the honeymoon, and I'm like, I was like, Taylor, what did you see in this man in the first place? What you guys talk about in the pods for you to go say I do to this man? Okay, I do not see it. But anywho, guys, that was the reunion, and I thought it was decent. It was decent, but of course, I'm looking at Love Is Blind sideways because we only have one couple who got married. I mean, we went from maybe like 3 to 2 to maybe divorces happening after to 1. So now what the future is going to look like, what's it going to give? Because I am confused. Are people now going to want to sign up for Love Is Blind? How is it gonna happen? I just think we just need better selection. At the end of the day, I feel like the ladies had to pick what was there. The guys just came as is, and you know, I think the vetting process should be way better, more thorough, because you want people to actually be the whole package to be ready for marriage, not you got bad credit and you want to show up and find someone to accept you for that. You know that's hard. Come on. That's like, of course, a fight set up to happen. And we know that, you know, most marriages end because of finances. So why set them up for that? So make that make sense, Love Is Blind. But of course, guys, that is my recap of Love Is Blind. If you like this, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, share as much kindness as possible. Bye, guys.